We flipped a coin, okay? You and me. You and me. Coin flip is sacred.
Y'all ready for a show today, baby? Go time, baby.
We've been waiting all week for this. This is where it happens right here, man. We man up, we stand up. We man up, we stand up. We all we got. We all we got. We all we got. We all we got. We all we got.
Hit anything that moves. We're playmakers, man. We the best, nothing less.
You don't like this? Trust me, you don't like it.
We're between the white lines. This is football. Welcome to the big league. I won the toss. I took the football. Drive it down that throat.
Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your skull?
Hey, every season is full of defining moments. Let's make this day a defining moment for us in our quest.
Welcome everybody to week 8 of the Coin Flip NFL 2022 season. Been a long week, needless to say. First and foremost, want to say thoughts and prayers go out to Mr. Kevin Barry's family, also known as ALS Warrior in the GC Warrior Room Slack channel. Obviously, Kevin lost his battle with ALS Wednesday. Spoken with Haley, his daughter, back and forth quite a bit. Making an attempt to try. It looks like they're going to have the funeral Monday with some services Sunday. With that quick turnaround, trying to get out there. Plan is to try to make the funeral. And she even jumped in the Slack room late Wednesday night or Thursday morning and said a few words, which was great. All the screenshots that all the words you guys had to say were very meaningful to them. So thoughts and prayers out to them. Kevin was he was one of a kind. Great man, great husband, great father. Try to live my life like he did. He was a tremendous man. With that, a little bit later this week, had some work meetings in Dallas. The news with Kevin set me back a little bit. Just tough week altogether. But we got this pod going. We're ready for week 8. Rate and review us on iTunes. I'll be doing some big giveaways for free for Thanksgiving week, Black Friday, stuff like that. Got tons of stuff still from the Masters, the PGA Championship, Memphis when we went to the FedEx St. Jude for the Fantasy Golf World Championship this year, plus some money, stuff like that. The more reviews and comments on YouTube we get and subscribers, the more I'll give away. So if you rate and review us on iTunes, that gets you in. If you leave a comment on any video on YouTube, subscribe to us, that also gets you in. Today, tell me who your favorite running back is, 7,000 or more, and that will get you into the drawings. Typical format today, I'm going to try to just get to the high notes and get going, being that this will probably come out Friday evening. Still plenty of time, and a lot of things will change, but wanted to make sure I got the pod out anyways. We got an 11-game slate. There is a London game Sunday morning, the Broncos and the Jags. Eagles are a 10.5-point favorite over the Steelers, and the Cowboys are 9 over the Bears. So those are 2 highest favorites on the slate. 5 road favorites this week, so about half. Ownership looks very tight. We'll be seeing interesting. This is the tightest I've seen in quite some time. Literally the top 9 games are total game ownership, and none really too crazy. Like big spreads between the two teams. 90%, 90%, 89, 88, 83, 83, 82, 81, 79. So very diverse ownership this week. It looks like, I got 6 teams within 2% of each other for the highest owned. Dolphins are the highest on the slate, but then all the, Raiders, Philly, Minnesota, New England are all right there. So be interesting to see how that shakes out over the next 24, 36 hours. But I like that kind of slate. So another reason for it is you don't have Josh Allen. You don't have, last night you had Lamar and Mark Andrews. You have, I don't don't know who the Monday night game is, but there's some fire, and then the bye weeks, right? So between all that, there's quite a bit of firepower gone from the slate, which, I like those kind of slates. It makes it a little bit, you can go different directions and not have to worry about, man, if I miss this one game or if I fade that one game and it goes off, I'm dead. So it should be a fun slate overall. Get straight to the playbook. Quarterbacks, my two favorite plays. I like Hurts, 8,300. I got him around 8%, which is, it seems low, but he's still one of the top 5 to 6 owned on my stuff. Pittsburgh on the road, coming off what they did. I just kind of think the reason why I like him the most is you never have to stack with him, right? So you can pay up for him, play him. You don't have to stack if you don't want to. There's some value on the slate we'll get to in a little bit. If I'm going to play and I want to pay up, he's the one. I don't know if I personally get there this week, but if I'm going to go high or want to spend the money, and he's by far the highest owned, which I think is keeping the ownership down. If we start to feel like he's getting steamed up, maybe not as much, but because of someone I'm going to talk about in a second and some other value on the slates, I think a guy like that's just going to be passed over more often than not. And people are just going to hope they don't miss the 100 yards rushing touchdown, 2 throwing, something like that. Tua right now is the number 1 owned on the slate for me. He's 1A with 1B who we'll get to next, but seems like a great spot. I know they're on the road, but Detroit's not very good at all. I think Dallas, hindsight, I probably shouldn't have been as high on Dak last week because they did exactly what they needed to do. Ease Dak back in. Once they got up, the only thing I take back is that Detroit, I think St. Brown going out super early hurt them. They're just a different team when he's out. But Dallas has a really good defense. And so the back and forth that I thought we may see with Detroit just didn't happen. I do think Miami-Detroit will go back and forth a little bit. They're the highest total on slate. By the end of the day, I think they'll probably be the highest owned game. So maybe it's something we get off of. But 6,200, Tua, I like Hill, I like Waddle. I like a lot about that game. So, kind of pay up plays. Those are the two that kind of stand out to me right now. Ellinger at 4K is easily the value. I'm going to be on Ellinger. I don't know. A little behind on pods this week. A few I've listened to. It kind of seems a little mixed down the middle. I hear some that no way I'm playing him. What do we know? Blah, blah, blah. And then others are like, you just don't get a 4K quarterback often that legitimately is scheduled to play the whole game, has some rushing upside. He's not Lamar or anything like that, or not even like Murray. But the power for a rushing touchdown is there. And when you're talking about 4K, all of the stuff that people want to argue or not argue is irrelevant when we're talking about the 4K. And the point that because he has just a little bit of some rushing stuff, I mean, I watched a ton of him at Texas, obviously, being in the Big 12 and all that. He can throw it a little bit. This isn't like he's a $5,500 Ellinger and we're trying to decide. There's nothing on the slate that matches his value. Nothing. And so, and what it opens up, and I think like doing a one-off stack with him may be the better thing because I think most people are just going to play Ellinger and jam studs. And so is it Pittman? Maybe people do the Pittman thing and think that's the best way to go. I don't have Pittman very high owned right now. Maybe it's a secondary, whether it be tight end or Pierce, who's been, doing fairly well, something like that, where you get a little bit different from everybody just going Ellinger and then jam, right? I like him. I'll be on him. We'll get more in depth on that on the premium stuff, but the next one's Dak, and it's really just the ownership deal. 4 to 5% own, 6,600. He's at home. I think with Zeke being out, obviously it opens up Pollard, who I do like a lot this week, but I think he'll sling it a little bit more. He got that game out of the way. He's comfortable. I think he comes out firing a little bit this week, and so I don't mind him. Low ownership, so that's the reason why he's a value. Fade for me right now is Carr on the road at the Saints. It's just so many different options. I'd rather go up to, like Dak, like I mentioned. I'd rather go down to Ellinger and see what I could fit there. He's top 5 in ownership right now. Actually, he's 4th. So that's the reason why I say fade him. It looks like some people are going to go there. Right now, he'd be the one that I pass on when it comes to that situation. Running back wise, I like Cook. About 10% owned, $7,600 at home against the Cardinals. They should be able to run very well against Arizona, which would be a reason probably to be off of maybe Cousins, who's kind of flirting there with Carr as well. As I think they'll be able to run well, but you never know. You get a shootout situation, and Cousins is good at home, so that's why I went Carr as the fade there over Cousins. But I like Cook a lot. Don't mind paying up for him. I love Henry, smash spot. I'm interested to see what his ownership kind of. I need to listen to some pods, read some articles and stuff. I really hadn't heard a lot about him, and he just owns the Texans. So I get the 8,400, but again, if I can find guys like that are going to be low owned. So if everybody's going to go Ellinger, Barkley, whatever, who's the highest owned, Ellinger, Barkley, Hill, something like that, you can play Ellinger and just be different with the studs you pay up for. So if right now I got Henry almost, half of the ownership as Barkley. So we'll see how that materializes, but I don't mind paying up for Henry this week. I think he'll do very well against Houston. Foreman, looks like Chuba's going to be out. If he's out, I definitely like the Foreman play. Atlanta's run D struggles. I think they'll be able to, Carolina not trying to put the game on, PJ Walker's shoulders. So I like him. If Chuba's in, maybe I'll make a pivot there. Not a pivot, but, go somewhere else. But it really sounds like he's not going to be able to play. So I like Foreman at $5,300. And then I think CMC is a value because of ownership. I got him around 6-7% right now. Y'all know me. If you listen to me for any amount of we're about to be on my, 6th year doing this. I was never a big CMC guy, but 8,700, so he's not, and the reason being he was always like 9,900 and still 30% on and stuff, rightfully so. Been there a little while. You got to think they get him involved. Maybe the ownership's down because we're the unknown, right? People are like, I'll go elsewhere where I know a Barkley, I know a Henry, I know whatever. He's the highest on the slate. Maybe this, especially if you're playing a Ellinger and you can pay up. All right, I'll go McCaffrey. No one's going to go there. I'll take that risk this week, and he may go off. Maybe he doesn't get that many reps, and it's a bad play, but at 6-7%, I'm willing to take that risk, and so I think that's a good value play on the ownership wise. Fades for me right now. Najee Harris coming in with a little bit of steam, maybe the price. I don't really like that. And then Barkley as of now. I don't mind Barkley, but if he's really going to be that high, much higher owned than Henry, I'd rather pay the $300 and go Henry. Or maybe I come down to Jonathan Taylor with Ellinger or something like that. We'll see how ownership shakes out. If they were dead even ownership, I could go either way on Barkley, Henry. But if I'm going to get a value, I'd rather do that. Or come down to Cook, who I love. Jacobs, who's not going to be just the ultimate chalk like he was last week. So, and I played him plenty. I liked him. He was the one, I mentioned it in many articles on the site, that the one chalk I'm going to be on and not move is Jacobs, and I stayed there. Had plenty of Joe Burrow. Man, NFL this year has been frustrating to have so much right and just barely get by with a break-even week or something like that. Like my Burrow lineups had, my best Burrow lineup I think had St. Brown in it. He goes out first quarter. He gets one catch and gets a concussion. You're like, geez, it just kills you when something like that happens. But what can you do? Plays wide receiver, Tyreek and Waddle. That's easy. I love them. Mix and match them. You could play one. You could do some mini correlations with Detroit side of the ball. We'll get down to that a little later. I think Tyreek's maybe the best play on the slate, but I don't mind saving $1,800 and going Waddle either. A.J. Brown, I love a lot. I think he could do good this week against Pittsburgh. I worry a little bit about if they get up early and then they just run. So, a little caution there, but, $7,700 seems like a fair price for him in a good spot. Should be able to eat on that Steelers secondary. Jefferson, I love. I think his ownership will be down because of the $9,100 price tag. I definitely go Jefferson over Kupp all day, $7,500. But I think Jefferson goes up in the core-ish type range the better you think Arizona competes in the game. Think Arizona wins or competes, I think Jefferson's a great play. If you think Minnesota's just going to own them, maybe not want to pay up for that. So that's kind of a personal preference on your side. I think it's going to be a competitive game. Hint, hint to a little future bet coming up. But I think Jefferson could have a really good week, and you see Jefferson and Hopkins go back to back. Could be a nice little. That could be a good little mini correlation if you just want to go those two and hope they shoot out. CeeDee Lamb, I'll go back there, especially in Dak plays that I have, and then St. Brown. You know, I think he may be lower owned. The little people that got burned like me, I got burned by him last week, plenty. You know, if he's out of concussion protocol and he's good to go, they should be throwing a lot. They should be needing to, you know, keep up with that Miami offense. So I like him at $6,900. Value plays like Garrett Wilson, $4,200 against the Patriots. They're at home. It's a good price. I don't know, you know, maybe you don't trust the Ellinger stuff. Well, that's a good pay down right there in that spot for $4,200. London, I had some of him last week. He hurt me a little bit. Didn't do much at all. Still like him. You know, gonna get probably good value up $5,100 for his upside. Didn't have the best game last week, but maybe a bounce back week there. And it's a cheap price for a wide receiver in that situation. Fade for me is Kupp. Like I mentioned, I'm not paying $9,600 for Kupp when I can go to Jefferson or many others. I don't see that beating me this week. If it does, you know, if he has a 40-point game, then it does. I'll just pass on that. I'd rather, even Devontae Adams is $1,000 cheaper. I'd rather take that. Tight end wise, I like Hawkinson a lot, especially if you're trying to get a little game stat action in the Detroit. $4,900. There's no big wide receivers. Two highest price are Kittle and Waller, $5,700 and $5,400. So I like Hawkinson there. Got him fairly low owned in a game script that I really like. Irv Smith, $3,500. Maybe get some mini stacks or something going on in that Minnesota. You go Irv, Jefferson, and Hawkinson. You know, if you want to go double tight end, which is rare. Or maybe go St. Brown, Jefferson, Irv, something like that. St. Brown, Hawkinson, Jefferson. You can mix and match some little three-man stacks out of that game if you want to. I don't hate that. Value, I think Noah Fant's probably the best value. Not getting a ton of steam right now. $2,800. We'll see how that shakes out. But, you know, no Metcalf. Doesn't mean he's going to replace it. But, you know, there are going to be some more targets to go around. Fairly good price against the Giants at home. I like that as well. I don't mind him at $2,800. My fade right now is Higbee. Looks like he's getting a decent amount of talk up. I can see it, but I just like other plays better. He's $4,200. I'd rather go down to a Schultz, an Irv Smith, something like that, or pay up to like a Hawkinson, like I mentioned earlier. Defensive plays for me. Cowboys, $4,000. No one's going to want to pay up this week for that kind of deal. Probably get unique there. If you go Ellinger, say, all right, you know, Ellinger and Cowboys in each lineup. You're saving your money there, pay up a little bit. What looks to be a pretty good situation. I mean, Fields can run around, but he can still turn the ball over. And Dallas D is just next level when it comes to that kind of stuff. And if Dallas gets up and forces Chicago into passing situations, it could really get, you know, really good for them. Good pay up option there. Eagles, same way. You know, they're playing Pittsburgh, probably a little bit higher owned, only $100 cheaper though. I don't mind either one of those two. Values, Texans, I could go there. They're at home against the Titans. Don't need much to pay off. $2,600. Watch the quarterback situation for Tennessee, but you know that may boost them up even more. Rams seems cheap for them. We've seen them as high as $4,000 this year. Jimmy G can turn the ball over. He can have a great game and still throw a pick six. So $2,700. We know the Rams can get a sack here or there. I don't mind that. And then Jets, $2,900 another. Any one of those three, I think, you can mix and match if you want to go true value this week. Which the nice thing about that is you're going to see some, you know, the ownership will be spread out a little more because you got two or three options there. Even the Pats, I've heard mentioned at $3K, that it'll be spread out a little bit. So you're not really dying on a hill if you miss out. You know, we've had the Cowboys earlier in the year. I did play them that day, but Bengals earlier in the year, the first game Dak was out. You get these 40% type defenses, and if they go off, just happen to get it, you know, it's hard. So these will be spread out much. I don't see just true massive chalk. I think the highest owned right now is Washington, and I don't know how much I like that. Of them on the road, I'll fade a Washington and go to those other ones I mentioned. Some gut feel plays I like. Daniel Jones, boy, I mean, I wish I just would have played him in one line. I didn't play many lineups last week, but man, if it had been a good week to do a bunch of MME and have him in there, I was very right on him. He had a great game. Didn't expect that, obviously. I'm not going to toot my own horn too much, but it was one of my favorite calls, and I like him again. Seattle's defense just can give up some stuff. $5,700. if you're in that middle zone, you don't want to say, I don't know if I get there, because I just think the Ellinger deal is that much cheaper that it's worth a strong look. And if he gets steam, I want to be overweight. So I like him. Pollard, not getting a lot of steam yet. I'm interested to kind of see how that fills out, because, I mean, I can't wait to just jam Pollard everywhere. I mean, I expect him to be much higher owned than what I'm hearing so far. $6,100, no Zeke. I'm all about that. Great script as well. Probably get some passes out of the backfield. Ramondre, I like him again. They're going to keep trying to run the ball no matter who the quarterback is. A little nervous, I guess, to see what Harrison's role is 1 week healthier, but I don't mind going back to Ramondre. Gut feel play. Algier, I don't mind him. $5,400. Got a lot more work last week. Olave, $6,000. Don't mind him. Wandell, if you go Jones, I think Wandell could be on the cheap this week. $4,700, 5-6%. Then Rondell Moore, I still think he's got a big game coming. If you're doing some mini correlation in that Arizona-Minnesota game, you could throw him in there at $5,100. You go Jefferson, Hopkins, Rondell. Although if you're going 2 wide receivers, you probably want to play Kyler, because if 2 wide receivers get there plus his legs, you would see that. But if you just want to get a one-off, Rondell at $5,100 I think is a good play this week as well. My favorite stacks, I like the Miami stack. You can go mix and match any way you want to go there. Even the running back, I like Mozart. You don't have to put him in the stack, but Mozart's, I think he's 6th in my rankings right now overall. Good MME play this week, GPP. Dallas is another stack I like a lot. You don't you keep it, go Dak, Pollard, Lamb, keep it that simple, or Dak, Lamb, Schultz. It didn't get there last week, which makes it even better for me, because I don't think as many people are going to go there. And I think they'll be able to score on Chicago more than what people think they will be able to. Some mini correlation I like, Cook, Hopkins, or Cook Moore, so Dalvin with one of those wide receivers. You could go Jacobs, Olave. I think that could be a good correlation out of that New Orleans Raiders game. Derrick Henry, Brandon Cooks. I like that one. Cooks' rates very well for me, $5,900. They get up big. Henry's pounding on them. They got to throw. Cook's probably going to be the guy. That's a good little 2-man correlation there. Ramondre and Garrett Wilson, pretty cheap little 2-man correlation there. If you trust the Ramondre deal, it's always tough, I know, with Belichick and stuff, but $6,400 for Ramondre, $42,000 for Wilson. You go Ramondre, Wilson, Ellinger to start your team. You got all the monies in the world to build whatever. Just start stuffing whatever studs you want there. And plus, you said you put a defense in yet. No matter where you go, whether you go Dallas or Jets or something like that. Sneaky team stack for me is the Colts. Not because of Ellinger. I think Ellinger's will be probably top 2 owned. I just don't know how many people are going to try to force the stack. I think they're just going to say, quote unquote, I'm treating him like a $4,000 running back or whatever this week, $4,000 wide receiver. And they don't have to force Pittman. So I think if you double stack, I think you're really unique. So if you go, Pierce, Pittman, Ellinger, I don't think many are going to do that. Maybe you throw Jonathan Taylor in there and do Pittman or Pierce, however you want to mix and match that, or Paris Campbell even, So I think that would be more sneaky than just playing Ellinger naked, right? I think that'll be more common in my opinion, especially the large field stuff. I think the higher dollar single entry type stuff, that kind of stuff, more people probably maybe do a little different, but your large field MME stuff, I definitely think you could do that. 2 favorite spreads this week. Hold on 1 second. I got Seahawks -3, Eagles -10. I did give away the Ravens last night, 2.5. That was a winner to start the week out. Upset of the week, I got the Cardinals beating the Vikings. They're getting 3.5, but that is the one I like. Survivor of the week, I finally crashed and burned last week along with very many people. I was going to play, so I charted out like the next 4 or 5 weeks I was trying to figure out, because there was pretty good options last week. 2 of the biggest options burned, the Bucks, Patriots, and then I think the Raiders was one of the top ones. I wouldn't have got there anyways, because it was 100% going to be Patriots or Bucks for me. So with the Patriots losing Monday night, maybe feel a little better, because I was like, man, because I didn't trust the Bucks. I just felt like Tom. Yeah, so I didn't like him last night. We heard the news, that the divorce is final. So I was going to play the Dallas this week. That's who I had left in my pool. The Eagles are a great play. The Bills are a great play. Most people have already used the Bills. Maybe the Eagles they have. A lot of people probably hadn't used Dallas, especially with Dak being out. So I think Dallas was who I was slated to play this week if I had made it. So that's where I would go. Underdog, link is in the description. $1 for $1 match up to $100. Use the code GUP. GUP, get a free $100. If you deposit 100, you can deposit whatever you would like. The week 8 battle royal is up, $250,000 pot, $5 a team. You can deposit 100, get a free 100, put 40 teams in it if you want, or put 20 teams even and have another 100 to use elsewhere. It's a good little deal to do there. Can't wait for PGA. They have that as well. A lot of overlay there at times. I'm expecting a best ball type deal from them for PGA, probably around the Sony. So that'll be fun if they do roll that out. They rolled out a little 3-week one for FedEx Cup that I thought was cool. So I hope that builds. My favorite 3 plays right now, I like Hopkins over 15.45 fantasy points, Jefferson over 100.5 yards, Waddle over 67.5 yards are my favorite 3 there. Prize Pick, same code, GUP, same match, $1 for $1 match up to $100. Hopkins over 70.5 yards. Love that. Jefferson over 90.5 yards. Waddle over 65.5 yards. Derrick Henry over 100.5 rushing yards. And CeeDee Lamb over 15.5 fantasy points. I like those 5. You can mix and match there however you want to do that. So go check those out. Use that code GUP. Free $1 for $1 match up to $100. Don't forget, Coin gets you 20% off any package right now. 7-day risk-free trial. Upgrade anytime you want. Locked in for life at that price, at that discount, no matter which package you go up to. We'll do the live chat Sunday morning if I'm not flying up to Jersey for Mr. Barry's funeral. I will let the premium members know that. If I am here, we will go live around that 11 o'clock Eastern time, 10:30 Eastern time. College Football Pod should be out today as well from our boy Bobby Burger. Got a 2-game slate tonight. Cluster F last night with, man, what a weird college slate. I lock in Cam Rising along with a lot of other people. He was 94% owned in the big GPP, and no one knows a clue, and he winds up not playing at all. So a little frustrating on stuff like that, but I'm expecting a good slate tonight. I actually like it. I think there's some advantages there. Big slate tomorrow, per usual. Go check out Bobby's Pod and come check us out at gupscorner.com for all the goods right now. We got NBA going on, NFL, PGA still rolling. Be interesting to see how it plays out today. Expecting a little bit worse weather. We'll see when that hits as well. A lot of fun things going on. Come join us now. If you have any questions, hit me up on Twitter or in the Slack channel DMs. Have a good Friday. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you soon.